This is how intelligence is made. A new kind of factory. Generator of tokens. The building blocks of AI.
NVIDIA opened GTC Taipei with a line that sounds like marketing, until you realize it is basically the whole strategy. They are not just saying AI is useful. They are saying intelligence is now something you manufacture. And if intelligence is manufactured, somebody has to sell the factory. That is the real pitch of this keynote. Not a faster chip in isolation, but the machinery around AI itself.
They think about the developer ecosystem above the computing systems that NVIDIA builds. But NVIDIA's ecosystem spans all the way upstream to all of our supply chain here in Taiwan, where it all begins, and downstream all the way.
This is the part that is easy to miss. Most people hear NVIDIA and think GPUs, CUDA, and stock charts. But Jensen spends real time talking about Taiwan's supply chain because NVIDIA's advantage is not just the chip anymore. It is the chain around the chip. Boards, racks, networking, cooling, storage, manufacturing partners, software, and data center design. That is why Taipei matters. It is where the AI factory becomes real.
2 years ago when I was here, I started to talk to you about how AI has moved from generative AI and the other waves of AIs that are coming. The next wave of AI was agentic AI. And today, we can see that tokens are now in extraordinary demand. Because if you could do this, you're going to want to produce more of it. And because tokens are now profitable units. Tokens are now profitable units of revenues. Because it is now profitable, the AI companies want to build a lot more tokens.
This is where the keynote shifts from hype to business logic. NVIDIA's argument is that if AI systems can actually do useful work, then tokens stop being a demo output and start becoming a revenue unit. Every useful answer, coding agent, robotics system, simulation, and enterprise workflow needs more tokens. And if token demand keeps rising, the data center becomes the factory floor. That is why the phrase AI factory is so powerful. It makes compute sound like production.
Vera Rubin. Vera Rubin is not one chip. Vera Rubin is not a GPU only. It starts with the GPU. But Vera Rubin is incredible. This entire thing is Vera Rubin.
This is the moment where the keynote stops being about a single chip and becomes about a system. Vera Rubin is presented as GPU, CPU, networking, memory, storage, security, software, and rack design, all at once. That matters because agents are not simple workloads. They plan, retrieve context, call tools, run code, generate output, and keep looping. So the bottleneck is not only how fast the GPU is, it is how fast the whole system can move work.
Well, it's even beyond that. A long time ago, NVIDIA used to be a GPU company. But over the years, we've evolved to become a systems company. You're looking here now for the most complex system, most complex and ground-up system ever designed. But ultimately, our customers, our partners.
If you only use one clip from this keynote, use that one. Jensen is saying the quiet part very clearly. NVIDIA is moving from GPU company to systems company to infrastructure company. That does not mean GPUs stop mattering. It means the GPU becomes one component in a larger product. A competitor can make a chip. Competing with the chip, the software stack, the rack design, the networking, the supply chain, and the developer ecosystem is a much bigger problem.
Vera Rubin was not just built for AI. Vera Rubin was not built just to run AI. Vera Rubin was built to run agents. This is an agentic system. Imagine the complexity, which is the reason why agents is the last computer science breakthrough. It has
The reason NVIDIA keeps saying agents is that agents are good for NVIDIA's business. A chatbot can be expensive, but an agent that checks files, runs tools, writes code, calls APIs, and loops until the work is done can use far more compute. If agents become normal inside companies, NVIDIA sells the infrastructure underneath that usage. So the story is not just AI can help you work. The story is that AI work creates demand for a new class of machines.
always said, Jensen, the agents are going to disrupt these markets. I said completely opposite, and you can now see it. Agents is going to create the largest opportunity ever for my partners and friends. And we have the NeMo, the NVIDIA Agentic Toolkit for enterprise.
This is where the Ruh AI lens maps directly to the keynote. Enterprise AI is not just a better chatbot in a tab. It needs tools, context, permissions, memory, workflow state, and guardrails. That is why the Work OS idea matters. If agents are going to act inside companies, they need to connect to the messy systems where work already happens. NVIDIA is selling the infrastructure layer underneath that shift.
Agentic AI is just a digital robot. It understands, it reasons, it plans, and it acts and uses tools. Agentic AI is going to run across all of these computers. And you've seen me talk about each and every one of these over time. We're working on Cosmos 3. Cosmos 3 is the frontier of physical AI. We are at the frontier with language models. There are so many people working on it.
Then the keynote gets even bigger. NVIDIA connects agentic AI to robotics and physical AI. The logic is simple. A digital agent uses tools on a computer. A physical agent uses sensors, motors, simulation, and world models. That is why NVIDIA talks about Cosmos, Omniverse, Isaac, robotics, and Vera Rubin in the same keynote. It is all part of the same map. Train the model, simulate the world, deploy the robot, and run the infrastructure behind it. Now, the obvious question is whether this gets as big as NVIDIA says, because this vision needs a lot to go right. Companies need agents that are reliable enough to trust. Data centers need enough power and cooling. Enterprises need returns that justify the spending. And robotics has to move from incredible demos to everyday deployment. So, this is not guaranteed. But the reason the keynote matters is that NVIDIA is not waiting for the market to define the next phase of AI. It is trying to define the market first. So, the real story from GTC Taipei is not just Vera Rubin. It is NVIDIA's attempt to reframe AI infrastructure as the next industrial platform. The chip is still important, but the bigger product is the factory. If the next decade of AI is about manufacturing intelligence at scale, NVIDIA wants to be the company selling the blueprint, the machinery, and the operating system. That is the bet.